Good day guys, nice to have you here. Hilda's been making a lot of rounds in some ranked games lately, and I noticed some errors a small number of players were doing, which is why today I will share with you the do's and don'ts when playing as Hilda. If you guys are looking for a complete guide in terms of itemization, emblem configuration, and battle spells, I suggest this video instead. I'll leave the link in the description for you guys. Anywho, though a lot of players who got used to her old mechanics dislike the new adjustment since her late game abilities have decreased, some people who can adapt to change have learned to embrace it. Such as myself. I am so used to change. If you've been in a relationship for more than 10 years, you'll understand what I mean. Anyway, I want to give my shoutouts to Sunflower. Thank you so much for always supporting the channel. You're awesome. We also have Cap City, and he too hosts a YouTube channel, so make sure to give him some love.
And tried to kill sickness.
Let's kick things off with the do's. Do play her as a side laner. Well, I agree that she's pretty good as a jungler, but I think the side lanes are her true ideal zones, regardless if that's the XP or gold lane. As we all know, Hilda regenerates HP while inside bushes. This means she'll be an excellent hero when it comes to freezing. For our new viewers, freezing is a technique which is meant to delay the enemy hero's gold and XP gaining. What you have to do is stop attacking the enemy minions and let your minions do the work, while you only attack to last hit the minions for that juicy bonus gold. How this works is, while you're not attacking, you'll hide in a bush and only step out to drive away the enemies. Practice your timing and make sure you drive them away the moment one of your minions is about to die. Don't just recklessly attack them. Second tip is always get Malefic Roar. I assure you, you won't be disappointed. This item is the key for Hilda to scale massively on the early game. Keep in mind that her ultimate pierces the target's armor. Malefic Roar will further amplify that. What makes this effective is the fact that on the early game, heroes don't have so much defense, which means your target's remaining defenses will be insignificant against your ultimate at max stacks. Third, she should have at least 2 to 4 defensive items. No matter what you see from other YouTubers convincing you to play her with only damage items, don't do it. Unless you're in the low ranks, go ahead. But if you are legend or higher, players have more understanding of the game, and believe me, a Hilda without any defensive items is quite squishy. Number 4. Make sure to use your ultimate once you reach max stacks. Using Hilda's ultimate without maxing out the stacks is a bit weak. There are, however, exceptions, such as when the enemy hero's HP is very low and there is a considerable distance between you and your target. You can use it as a dash skill. Otherwise, for most situations, I highly suggest only activating her ultimate at max stacks. Number 5. Play aggressively. Hilda has very few weaknesses because of her ability to move away from danger easily thanks to her first skill. Just make sure to prioritize squishy targets. Here's the best part though. In the event most of the enemy heroes are a bit tanky, don't be too afraid. As long as you have Malefic Roar and you're not gapped in terms of level, dealing with tankier heroes will not be too difficult because her ultimate's damage is higher per stack the higher the target's max HP is. Now that we're done with the 5 do's, let's talk about the don'ts. Number 1. Don't play her as a roaming support. Sure, she's classified as a tank fighter, but not all tanks are meant to be supports. Some tanks, such as Hilda, benefits the team more by being played as a secondary carry. Well, I'm not saying she's bad as a roaming support, but there are far better options. Why do I think she's not as effective? Well, she lacks the utilities to become a good support. She has mediocre control skills, and most of her skills are effective against single targets, unlike other tank supports that can set or protect allies using their skills. Hilda just doesn't have that kind of kit. Second, don't pick Hilda against heroes that have the ability to gain high amounts of shield. A perfect example is Esmeralda. Hilda can only gain stacks or mark her targets if her basic attacks or skills inflicts damage to them. If her target has a shield, no mark will be added. Keep in mind that the mark or stack will only last for 4 seconds, and if Hilda fails to sustain damage on her target using basic attacks or her skills, the stack's count will reset. Third, don't just stick with one battle spell. I noticed that the favorite spell for her by most players is Execute. Sure, that still works, but try to diversify. Besides, this is not the old Hilda we're talking about. The old Hilda needs to get stacks by getting kills or assists, but the current Hilda does not. Her mechanics now requires her to last longer in battles in order to gain enough stacks. Instead, I suggest diversifying your choices when it comes to battle spells. Experiment, explore, and analyze other options. A perfect example is Vengeance. It decreases the damage you receive, regenerates HP, and reflects a portion of the enemy's damage back to them. This spell also discourages attackers, which gives you the opportunity to keep attacking, thus helping you gain more stacks and eventually taking the kill. Number 4, and this is very important. Stop buying Blade of Despair as your first item, please. Here's why. It's super expensive. Its damage can be reduced easily by Antique Karas, which is an item that's very famous in the game. It's probably one of the most purchased armors because of how effective it is against skill casters such as Hilda. Instead, as I said earlier, buy Malefic Roar. Malefic Roar is way more affordable and it doesn't have a weakness. Just to be clear, I'm not saying you shouldn't get Blade of Despair. You can. As a matter of fact, that's a great item for her. But I recommend doing so only if your team is ahead and from the mid to late game. Finally, number 5. Don't focus on kills. I know. It's tempting considering how satisfying her ultimate is. But always remember that lane management is one of the most important tasks in Mobile Legends. You don't have to always push until you reach the turret, but at the very least, make sure that 1 to 2 of your team's lanes have minion wave advantage. Besides, if you're managing lanes well, you'll have more time to kill enemies because you won't be too busy defending since your minions are always ahead. That concludes our Mobile Legends game guide for today. If you guys have anything else to add, do let us all know in the comment section below, and if you haven't yet, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. Stay safe, everyone. Peace.